But you know what doesn't get a tepid endorsement? American Gangster.
Yes. I actually remember when this movie came out. I think it was in college. And
2007.
yeah, 2007. Yeah. I would have been junior year of college. Um, but and it didn't really interest me that much. I guess at the time, I think it was probably because I wasn't really into movies like this back then. I mean, I was more into like Transformers.
Right. What I'll say is that doing this podcast has given me a deeper appreciation for this sort of thing.
Yeah, same here. But yeah, well, what's interesting is that this movie takes place like late '60s to about mid '70s,
Mm-hmm.
and it's in New York, and my uncle was living in New York at that time, and this movie is based on a true story. My uncle had never heard of Frank Lucas, the guy that Denzel Washington plays. So didn't know who he was. Never heard of him.
To be fair, your uncle probably wasn't getting heroin in Harlem, so
No, he was not. No, he definitely wasn't. Yeah.
Yep. So overall storyline: Denzel Washington plays Frank Lucas, who in the movie is the second-hand man to Ellsworth Bumpy Johnson, the boss of Harlem. When Johnson dies, Lucas decides that he's done playing second banana and he's going to use all of the knowledge and skills he's picked up as the number two to take over the city. And the way he's going to do that is with a new brand of premium, higher quality heroin.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Russell Crowe is basically playing the white guy from 48 Hours. When you get down to it.
Yeah, he is.
just he's Jewish and way less racist.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got all the same trademarks of him, dresses the same, acts the same.
Kind of a slob.
Kind of a slob, yeah. Womanizer, yeah.
Yep. And he is he starts off as a detective on the New York police force before getting put into a special drug agency under the Nixon administration.
Yes, and as he's in doing his own investigations, that's when so what kind of spurs him on too is that his partner is becomes addicted to heroin, and because they found a trunk full of almost $1 million in cash, and they didn't take any of it, and they reported it.
Right, which apparently, at least the way that this movie is portraying it, and I don't doubt this was the case in reality, they are portrayed as being hilariously corrupt here.
Mm-hmm.
The police force, I mean, not Russell Crowe's character.
Which, I think that's how it was back then. Yeah. So his partner, they deal with the ramifications of it, and then his partner gets addicted to heroin, and then he ends up overdosing on the premium heroin that Denzel Washington is bringing into America from the Golden Triangle, which is that area in Southeast Asia with like Vietnam, Cambodia, and what was it, Laos?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, or Thailand, I can't remember. That spurs Russell Crowe on to find out who's peddling this drug, and of course Denzel, Frank Lucas, his whole thing is staying under the radar. It's like you see, I mean, you see how he dresses here. He doesn't dress flashy. He doesn't flaunt his money or anything like that. He doesn't drive like nice cars. I think like the nicest thing he does is he gets a penthouse, which is a multi-million-dollar penthouse.
Gets a penthouse, gets a big house for his family to live in, because he kind of does like what seems to be the typical Southern expectation that if you make it big, you're going to invite your family in and get them a big place to live in.
Yeah, because he's originally from North Carolina.
So it's I kept reminding me of the Baz Luhrmann Elvis movie.
Yes, yeah, very much. Yeah.
Even the same sort of Greek column style house. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, yeah. It did kind of. Yeah, it did look like Graceland. Yeah. So well, and that's the other part of it too, is he gets all of his brothers to come work for him.
Yeah. So this was directed by Ridley Scott, and what really just kept making me, or I kept being reminded of, was movies like Goodfellas or Wolf of Wall Street, just without the comedic edge that Scorsese brings to his movies.
Right. Yeah. This is very much a very dark movie. Yeah. The other thing it reminded me of too was not as much, but a little bit of God, I just lost the name of it.
That other drug movie we watched.
Yeah, with Wesley Snipes.
New Hearts, New
Jack City.
New Jack City. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and a little bit of that too.
And not just because they had. Okay, I feel like it's a thing where if you have somebody sorting drugs for you, you usually have them do it in their underwear or in the buff, because you don't want them to be able to sneak any of it away.
Right.
Boy, it sure is funny how every director who I've seen who gets to portray that type of thing uses it as an excuse to show some boobs.
Yes.
No, really, it's artistic.
Yeah, no. There's a reason for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Why aren't there any guys sorting? Because that would be gay. I mean, I'm crap.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
I kid.
Yeah.
But I think part of it is just the nature of the actors in here. Like, this isn't Leo DiCaprio or Joe Pesci, who these actually, Russell Crowe does bring a bit of sardonic comedy to his character, because he's kind of a schlub.
Oh yeah, and he the other part of it too is that he's going to night school to get his law degree, and which he ends up using later on in the movie. But yeah, he's and the other part of it too is, of course, he's divorced, and his ex-wife is taking their son and moving to Las Vegas, which he's just like, he don't want his kid being raised in Las Vegas, which I can't say I blame him.
Right, just New York in the late 60s, early 70s, not necessarily that much better.
No, it wasn't. No,
At least he'd be around.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, of course, with Denzel, he's he gets a beautiful Puerto Rican wife, and he starts getting noticed by a lot of people, including a group of corrupt cops led by Thanos.
Oh, is that him? Okay.
Yeah, that was Josh Brolin. Yeah.
Now I gotta say, I'm going to take a minor disagreement with you saying like he flies under the radar. Like, I would say not so much that he doesn't do big obvious things. He doesn't do stupid things by and large.
Right.
Like, he doesn't get high on his own supply. He is like, he'll go out with his wife, but he's not, bringing over hookers or things like that.
Right.
He's treating being a drug dealer like he's a legitimate businessman.
Yeah.
Keeps that sort of discipline.
I just remembered he did shoot Idris Elba in the head.
I was going to say, that's the other thing, is that that his attitude seems to be very much, don't start nothing, won't be nothing.
Yeah.
But you will take me seriously. And he kind of had to force people to take him seriously, because everyone was used to thinking of him as the old mobster's errand boy.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
and yeah,
and like he's the one who's willing to do the crazy things that other people wouldn't do. Like he goes to Vietnam
yeah,
at the height of the Vietnam War to make direct arrangements to smuggle things in via the U.S. military.
yeah, yeah. Because because his cousin's ex-husband is his contact, and that's how he's getting the drugs through, and doing it in very dishonorable by dishonorable means too, which I guess just goes to show how just awful those people were.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
how
mean,
there's always corruption everywhere,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah.
Um, Meanwhile, like Russell Crowe's character is kind of like he doesn't quite have the same sort of drive. I would say like he is out for justice for his dead partner, and that's the other thing is that I feel like Denzel is very clearly the villain here, which is not a role I usually think of him as being in.
No,
Maybe antagonist is the better way to put it.
yeah, yeah. Well, I would say Training Day. He was definitely a villain in
Oh
that.
yeah, I forgot about that because I haven't seen that one yet, but I
Yeah,
know the
uh,
basics of it.
yeah, and well, yeah, and actually, this isn't the first time Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe have been in a movie together. They were in
Gladiator.
a yeah, it was mid 90s. It was called Virtuosity.
Haven't heard of
It's
that
a
one.
yeah, it's a it's a very obscure movie. I don't think I think it bombed when it came out.
Hmm,
But Denzel plays the good guy in that movie, and Russell Crowe plays the bad guy.
excuse me. But
Right?
where I was going with it is that they are not shy about showing the consequences of somebody bringing a much purer, cheaper product to the streets.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like he can give away as many turkeys as he likes. He is still poisoning his people.
yeah. And with kind of where I got the comparison with New Jack City, because that was the same
Yeah.
thing. Where yeah, Wesley Snipes is he's poisoning his community, but he's also handing out free turkey. Yeah, it's like okay,
Yeah. Whereas Crow is shown trying to do his best in a corrupt system. And
yeah,
definitely, it's like this movie is like a mashup of New Jack City and The Untouchables. Because
oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
Crow is definitely being portrayed as like if he's not the white knight, he's definitely the honest man trying to work through a dishonest system.
yeah, yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah, and he and in although as in one particular scene, he does face his own bit of discrimination
Yep.
because he gets called the K word.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
like
he's
come on.
Jewish.
Yeah. Um,
And I guess that does kind of parallel Denzel's experience with the Italian mobsters who don't quite like that one of his people is working his way up the industry.
oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of why I say like part of it of him being like under the radar, so to speak, is that he kind of sort of uses his skin color to his advantage. That like, oh, nobody takes this guy seriously.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
one of the people at one point says, "You expect to believe that a expletive deleted can do better than the Italian mob?"
yeah. Like, okay, yeah, yeah. It just goes to show the how people thought back then. Yeah,
Yes. Um, Now, in terms of how the movie is actually made, this thing is extremely this thing is extremely watchable.
yeah,
Like it just flows. It has such tight pacing, and
yeah.
I did occasionally lose track of the passage of time, but they're pretty good about when they do a time jump. They have a different news event, so you can kind of place it.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll mention they'll mention the year in there. Or they'll talk about like, oh, it's 1973,
Right.
and this is happening in Vietnam,
Or it's like
or
oh, Lyndon Johnson has opted not to run. Oh, Nixon has won re-election.
yeah,
Nixon is setting up this anti-drug task force.
yeah. No mention of Watergate though.
Yeah, just wasn't germane to the movie, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah,
Or it
and
didn't last that long.
right, yeah, yeah, or and then of course then they had the fall of Saigon in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the soundtrack is designed to get you into the era.
Mm.
The costume design I kind of questioned slightly, but that's because I thought we were still in 1968 at one point, where I was seeing some very 70s looking fashion, but I think I was just had lost track of a time skip.
Yeah, a little too disco.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
But I'm not enough of an expert to really question it, because 1968 is pre-70s, sort of 70s.
yeah. It's the hippie era. Yeah.
Yep. Um, it does tell you that in 48 hours that what's his name's character, since he was still basically dressing like Russell Crowe had in the late 60s and 70s, was really behind the times.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. uh, oh man. But yeah,
But
no, yeah. I mean, this is a good movie. Yeah, it holds your interest very well. I was a little worried about that when I saw it's a 2.5 hour movie, but it does go by pretty quickly.
yep. And it's interesting because you see where both characters are coming from, but like I said, I feel that Denzel's character is definitely they definitely stack up enough evidence that he is not the good guy.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hey Edwin, good to see you, man.
Hey man.
Um, oh no,
But
yeah, they definitely show he is not a good guy. And although I will say there at times, yeah, they do kind of give him like a little bit of a gray, a little bit of a shade of gray here and there, because like I mean
he loves his family. He's
yeah, he loves his
he isn't
family, he loves his
being on
wife.
his wife. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. It's like he's good to people who are his. It's just that it's like he's very much poisoning many thousands of innocent people to make
yeah,
his dream come true.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. It's on Netflix.
Oh, and I looked up a little bit of the accuracy on this,
Oh yeah.
not like a full detail, just found a YouTube video to watch. It from the sounds of it, it is a bit more true to life than The Untouchables was, because as I recall, we declared that The Untouchables
Oh
was accurate insofar as there were people named Elliot Ness and Al Capone in Chicago who didn't like each other.
yeah.
This seems to be a bit more accurate, but they played up the cat and mouse nature of Washington's and Crowe's characters.
Mm.
Also, like things like Lucas says that he did go to Southeast Asia disguised as a soldier to make his arrangements. That's uncorroborated.
Yeah.
And he did apparently claim that he shot that guy in front of everybody, but he was never prosecuted for it. So it's interesting that if you really shot somebody in front of all those people and the state was trying to make a case against you, you
Yeah.
think that would come up.
Well, I mean, you ask around if there were any witnesses. They're like, "Oh, I didn't see anything."
Right, that's true. That could have just been too dry of a trail, but still interesting. But
Yeah.
it's like it's not history, but it is a compelling story.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think said all we need to say for tonight.
Indeed.